The remaining slides with regard to legislation have actually been recycled from previous meeting. The same bills are still moving forward. And as mentioned earlier, the AB 14 and SB 4 will advance or renew the sunset on the California Advanced Services Fund, which is vitally important to additional build out. We have our grant application in with that organization, California Advanced Services Fund. So they have now been heard for a third time in the opposite house. So they're nearing passage. There needs to be some reconciliation between the AB 14 and SB 4 as they achieve similar goals approached from both houses. And then AB 41, Dr. Wood's bill, is the dig once policy. It also is moving forward, and we're hopeful that it will pass. The consortium is working on a uniform dig once policy because it just makes perfect sense while there are road construction projects or open trenches that every effort is made to fill out those trenches with conduit or fiber. It reduces costs rather than ripping up asphalt to lay fiber. Perhaps Mike Nichols wants to characterize or speak to things I haven't mentioned with regard to this slide. There's one more slide with additional bills.
You covered it, Jeff. I don't think I have anything else to add. Thank you.
Okay. AB 34 is the Broadband for All Act, and the maps that are being utilized for the middle mile really derive from the work done in that regard. I mean, they are broadband for all maps at their base. And so we go on to some of the federal legislation, and again, nearly $100 million has been devoted to the Broadband Data Act, and that requires that the providers provide accurate data to in great detail. I mean, previously it has been voluntary that the FCC 477 forms are just supplied data and inaccurate data, but moving forward, when the Data Act is fully implemented, we'll have granular data, which is important to planning. With regard to the Emergency Connectivity Fund or the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, I think the metric is now 5 million subscribers, and it also, I believe, will be made permanent in upcoming legislation. So there will be a $50 subsidy for all eligible households for broadband service and $75 on tribal lands. If you'll bear with me a moment, I think that I might have a slide which shows by, where have I put that? Let me open this up. I don't know why it's not opening. I have, please open. There we go. Now let me go back. I have by zip code the number of subscribers in Mendocino County to the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. And can you see the slide now? Fort Bragg, 110 subscribers. And in Ukiah, there are 332 subscribers, and in Willits, there are 141 subscribers. The total is 645 subscribers, and at $50 a month, that's on an annualized basis, it would be like $32,000 of rebates that Mendocino County is cashing in on. I think that the challenge to some of the zip codes that are less dense is that participating providers may or may not have signed up to offer the subsidy, or that most of the subscribers are from the larger carriers in the municipalities. And so now, with regrets, my screen sharing, I've lost the other document that is the agenda. Bear with me. More or less, the legislation is promising. And we've already reviewed all of the other grant opportunities in the past, but there continues to be hundreds of billions of dollars being made available across the nation for broadband generally. We've touched on major, everything that directly impacts our planning, I believe. But I did have a conversation with Superintendent Hutchins with regard to the ESSER 2 funds and its implementation. And I think that we've talked about some of the USDA and CARES Act funds. If anyone has any questions, there are many grant opportunities. We've covered it during the course of the discussion. And here is another slide with other grant opportunities. And ARPA, Mike Nichols has indicated that the counties are getting ARPA funds, and that a permissible use of those funds is broadband. Additionally, tribal grants, I think that the window for application of tribal grants have just expired, but in the coming year, I hope greater coordination with our tribes will enable us to augment the build out that is being planned with the middle mile and last mile funds, because there is a great deal of funds there as well, upward of $1 billion. We are about 10 minutes from the end. I have put this slide deck in the chat. I could also circulate it via email, but all of these blue underlined links are active and you can learn more about these. I think this list is kind of repetitive, but it is just the links to the grant programs. And so the final topics are on this slide, and I'll prompt Mike Nichols with regard to a report from Access Sonoma Broadband and Sonoma County Regional Broadband activities.
Thank you, Jeff. I think we covered most of the points during the course of your meeting earlier that we've discussed regarding Sonoma County and what paths we're taking on these various issues. If you have any further questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Like Mendocino County, I think Sonoma County is looking at the RCRC JPA with the idea of joining, and that would enable a seat at the table and a vote in decision-making process. And they'll closely examine over the next 6 months whether or not they want to remain or opt out. But every indication is that the RCRC JPA makes sense in terms of wise expenditure of funds and working collaboratively.
Correct, Jeff. We had a bit of a complication because our Board of Supervisors on June 6th granted money for Sonoma County to go on its own and develop a middle mile program of our own, and setting funding aside for a consultant to determine which means we should move forward with a JPA or what have you as on a municipal system. And then all of a sudden the JPA from Golden State Connect came into effect, and we had to meet and figure out the best way to move forward. And as you just stated, the county has determined that they're going to our access to broadband is going to recommend to the Board of Supervisors they move forward on joining the GPA with Golden State Connect through RCRC.
Thank you, Mike. So we come to final comments and future agenda items. The floor is yours. Without comment, the next meeting is scheduled for Friday, December 3rd, and hope to see you there. There's lots going on, and I hope to keep you informed about updates in the interim, but I'm always available for discussion of topics. Please reach out. Any final words, Marianne?
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for your work on this.
Thank you.
You as well. Appreciate it. So I guess that concludes the meeting. Thank you all so very much for attending, and have a great day.